Well, hey, Angel fans, and welcome back to Halo Territory. I am Mike DiGiovanna, former LA Times baseball writer and host of the show. And back with us today is my regular co-host, Mark Trumbo, the former Angel slugger. Mark, welcome back from vacation. Boy, if you look at the comments on the HT YouTube page, you are dearly missed out there, my friend. What's up with that?
Well, for the three or four that were wondering, yes, we took a trip before my daughter's school started. In this day and age, unfortunately, publicizing such things on the internet, social media is
Yeah.
ill advised. So I have not. That was just the explanation, and I'm back and ready to cover. Well, we got a lot to discuss today. Some
Yeah.
interesting things I feel like. And the shows that while I was gone, some very interesting content too, a little different, but learned a lot, especially in the Shake one about the
Yeah.
ballpark, the naming. And one question is, where is all that room for the youth sports park that I meant to ask you, but
Yeah. I mean, you would do a project like that in phases. Obviously, you would first start, I'm assuming, building the new stadium. Then you're tearing down the old stadium, so you have all the footprint of where the old stadium was, and then you figure out, you could probably fit a
okay,
youth
yeah,
sports
I mean, we
park
don't need to.
into the footprint. Yeah, it's. I'm sure there's all sorts of advanced planning and things and concepts that have gone into it, but there's a lot of room there. There's probably more room than you think, and if you eliminate some of the parking spaces and build a garage like they did across the street at the Honda Center, you'd have even more available square footage. So, yeah, some interesting stuff going on there. We'll see what happens with all of that. Well, some interesting Angels storylines. One of the big ones these past 2 weeks has been Angels pitching in the wake of the August 11th firing of veteran pitching coach Mike Maddux, bullpen coach Tom Chiti, and assistant pitching coach Daryl Scott. So the Angels had a 4.51 team ERA that day. And since then, and we're going to use these stats going into Sunday's game. Yusei Kikuchi came back, first game in 4 months, kind of a bit of an outlier. Didn't pitch great, didn't pitch all that poorly. But going into Sunday's game, since August 11th, when the Angels named Tim Leveque interim pitching coach and Michael Wuertz interim bullpen coach, the Angels pitching staff leads the major leagues with a 1.64 ERA and a 0.92 whip and a 3.96 strikeout to walk ratio. Angels pitching had also allowed two or fewer earned runs in 9 of 11 games in that span. Mark, what has impressed you the most about Angels pitching these last 2 weeks, and how do you think they've improved?
I think the amount of coverage on the broadcast has been Uh, it's extensive, and I think when Johnson start the other night, before 2 innings was up, we'd heard at least three references to the pitching improvements. So they are a big deal, and they're a big deal to the club. And it makes you wonder what this team might have looked like had someone else been directing the pitching for the majority of the season. It sounds like, and we may have been early to kind of speculate that Maddux was making the bullpen maneuvers and deciding at least who was available, if not who was coming into the game. But what it looks like, and if anybody watches, I know people are watching those games, but this is repetitive for what they were saying. But the Angels pitchers, especially the starting pitchers, have streamlined their repertoires. They have
Yeah.
eliminated their pitches that grade out poorly, and they are stepping on the usage of their better pitches. Sometimes it turns into more of a two-pitch mix, maybe sprinkle in a third. It seemed like under Maddux, he really wanted them to throw about an equal usage for most of the guys of four pitches. For example, Walbert doesn't have four, but he was starting to trend more towards, and he does have a very nice slider. So that's not really the example. Let's say Detmers more.
Yeah.
Trying to use an equal usage of those four pitches that he has, where a couple of them, or at least one of them, his changeup is never rated very well. Grayson Rodriguez, after a kind of a clunky first inning, not his fault totally. Poor defense by, well, Grissom made an error. So it's not poor, it was an error. And but he made the rest of it. I mean, I thought that could get away from him. He went 7 innings, 99 pitches and 64% four-seam fastball, 24% changeup. So that was, essentially that's covering almost the entirety of his repertoire. And that was the guy that I think we've been waiting to see. I guess one question
Yeah.
for you, is this more a byproduct of, some massive improvements in short order, or are they playing some lousy competition?
Yeah, certainly there's elements to both. I don't know if massive improvement is the right word, but certainly when you play in the Royals, the Astros, the Rangers, that's some really teams that have really been scuffled offensively of late. There's just been a couple of really nice turns through the rotation. I mean, Urania has been really good all year. Detmers has been spectacular since early to mid July, and I think you're seeing young George Clausen has stepped in and pitched really well. We saw Ryan Johnson take a no hitter into the sixth inning. God, it just doesn't seem like that long ago we were talking about this guy belongs in the bullpen. We might have to reassess that one. Uh,
I,
so
I'd like to see a bit more, if I'm being
yeah,
honest, and a bit more against good competition, because this Rangers team is going nowhere fast. They don't have it. I guess buoyed heavily by their starting pitching at times, but I didn't see much in terms of the defense wasn't above average to me, and they tried to let them the Angels sneak back in this game today, and darn near did.
yeah,
Credit to the Angels too for battling until the end. But so Johnson, for example, just to get it out of the way, he's 50% cutter, 26% sweeper, but his velocity has ticked up. We've talked about where's the velocity, and he was up to 94.3 for those that love statistics.
and also I don't think you can underestimate the impact some of the relievers have had. We're that ERA was for a total pitching staff. As good as the rotation has been, it wasn't just for the rotation. Ben Joyce has come back and been pretty darn dominant. 6 2/3 inning pitch in 7 games, 0 earned runs, 9 strikeouts, and 2 walks. And Ryan Watson, man, talk about coming out of nowhere. He's thrown 5 1/3 in 6 games, 0 earned runs, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk. And what was it? The first game of the road trip in Houston. Nobody knows at the time that Sam Natera is hurt, and up comes Jordan Alvarez representing the tie-in run. I think it's 3-1, and out trots the right-hander Ryan Watson out of the bullpen, and he strikes out Alvarez, gets Isak Paredes with a fly to left field to preserve a 3-1 win. And this guy's been pretty darn good. So it's been sort of an across-the-board effort. What's been your impression of Ben Joyce so far? It's hard to blame him for that Friday night loss. What was it? One strike away from a save, and somebody just doinked a double over the first baseman's head and an error. Really tough loss there, but boy, I'm not saying the Angels are in first place with a good closer, but I'm guessing with Ben Joyce healthy all year, some of those blown saves we saw earlier would have been wins. What a nice addition he's been.
Agree. He's got the goods. It's the sustainability that and the
Yeah,
health, really the health throwing, because he seems like, I mean, his cruising altitude, or his velocity is. I mean, it's not effortless per se, but that's just how it comes out. I mean, he just
yeah,
throws 100, and they can get up to goofy, like 104.5 or whatever it was the other day. So,
yeah,
I guess from the perspective of watching enough baseball and just seeing how few guys can do that, I don't always love seeing those numbers, even if they result in a bobblehead. But uh, I'd like to see him out there for full seasons, is what I'm getting at.
yeah,
And he,
yeah,
he really can, because even though the hitters know what's coming, he's still got a fastball that they can't do much with it when he locates it relatively.
for sure. Hey, we're going to take a quick break for a word from our sponsors. When we come back, we're going to talk about the new buzzword around Angels Stadium tech. We'll be right back with more Halo Territory.
One of the things that I wasn't very good at was playing Major League Baseball. One of the things that I'm really good at is sweating. Even now, when I'm not playing, I need hydration. I need to make sure it's convenient. That's why I choose Quince.
Yep, Quince electrolyte stick packs to the rescue, Kratz. They taste great, and the zero sugar options are stevia-free. They're keto-approved, naturally sweetened with fermented rice, and like everything Quince does, they're thoughtfully made and priced well. At $20 for 30 servings, they're less than half of the leading brand. Give your body what it really needs to stay hydrated. Go to quince.com/foul for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/FOUL for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/foul. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
And welcome back to Halo Territory with Mark Trumbo and Mike DiGiovanna. Well, when Mike Maddux was fired, interim GM John Mozeliak made a point of saying that Maddux and his staff were not using available technology sufficiently. Reid Detmers even said that day that he had to start asking to use TrackMan during bullpen sessions after the All-Star break. Let's remind viewers and listeners exactly what TrackMan does. Provides detailed information about every pitch thrown. It measures metrics such as pitch velocity, spin rate, spin axis, vertical and horizontal movement, release point, and these insights allow pitchers and coaches to understand exactly how each pitch behaves and make adjustments to improve effectiveness. I know you didn't pitch in the big leagues, Mark, but I'm sure you've seen a few bullpen sessions on the side and know how these pitchers operate today. What kind of difference can using this tech, like in a on the side on a side session, do for these pitchers, and why does it seem to have made a pretty big difference with these guys?
I wonder, what do you think the reason Maddux was opposed to it? Is that just a arrogance thing, or is that laziness, or is that just a philosophical thing?
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know Mike Maddux all that well, but I know the type. He's a veteran guy. He's an old school guy. I can only surmise that it's kind of like Mike Socia at the end. He didn't exactly embrace all the analytics and all the info that he maybe could have, maybe should have. And I just think Mike Maddux is probably cut a little bit from the same cloth. He's pretty set in his ways, and those ways have worked pretty darn well over the years. He took a Rangers staff that I'm not even sure was all that great in 23 and turned them into a World Series winner. So it's hard to argue with stuff like that. I don't know that he was stuck in his ways, but I just do find it a little odd, maybe a little striking, maybe a little odd that of all the things that could turn around the Angels pitching this year, it's using technology that everybody uses.
I don't think it's that strange, and I don't think the adjustments they've made are strange at all. It's exactly what the Dodgers, for example, have been doing for years now, is streamlining a new acquisition, saying these are the pitches you're going to throw. This is why you're going to throw them. And if a pitch isn't netting out or grading out as a positive, we're going to get rid of it. We're not going to use it. Why would you use it? And I think, I don't know if Maddux was looking at these reports as far as the pitch grades. And for those that don't like him, I don't really care. It's one of those things that's here to stay. And a guy like Detmers obviously benefits from this. Grayson Rodriguez, they're young enough to the point they came up, and this is what they are used to. So I think when you take it away, it feels probably like, for me, not being able to hit batting practice outside. I got very used to that. And on the days that I didn't do that, you try and do what you can, but you're not always mentally feeling like you were as prepared. So with Reid, and why do golfers use it? If you look at any range, they cover everything now on the tour, but they have some sort of almost every player. It probably is every player has a unit sitting on the ground measuring their distance, their curvature, their angle of their swing, all these things. And why you have it is because it can shortcut some adjustments on any given day, or at least give you some feedback like, hey, why does that look like it's not doing what it's supposed to? Well, you look down, you look at the numbers, you look at some of the things, and if you are versed in it well enough, you can make those adjustments quicker than struggling with a feel thing. I think Mike Maddux was huge on feel. Some of the videos in spring, and there weren't a lot, but it seemed like he really, and that's something that I think would connect a lot more with a veteran pitcher, Verlander or DeGrom, somebody like that. They may use this a lot. They might use it not at all. But for the younger pitchers that came up through the minors using it, I think it's pretty crucial that you use it.
Yeah. Team obviously was on the road all last week. Jeff Fletcher, the OC Register, did talk to some of these pitchers about this very topic, wrote a good story about this on Friday. The most obvious change is that now all pitchers throw all their bullpen sessions with the full complement of hardware, specifically TrackMan devices. Under Maddux, the Angels used it in spring training, but sporadically in the regular season. Quote, in Baltimore, we used it a lot, right-hander Grayson Rodriguez said. I think it can help. For me, in the beginning of the year, I was struggling with my stuff. It wasn't where it needed to be with the movement patterns and different stuff like that. I wish I would have had it a little bit earlier. It's a useful tool for sure. Left-hander Reid Detmers said he started asking to use TrackMan more after the All-Star break. A few weeks before the staff change, Detmers came into Friday night's start with a 1.83 ERA since the All-Star break. Detmer said the benefit of the technology is how to maintain, quote, to see if everything is right. Well, it's really interesting. I agree with you on the veteran pitcher and the young pitcher. It's an interesting sort of dichotomy in the game right now. And we also we did catch up with Tim Leveque, the new Angels interim pitching coach, before they went on the road. And this was sort of before a lot of these things were actually implemented. This is a couple of days into his tenure. Let's see what he had to say about his approach and his philosophy.
I guess the first question we have to ask you is they made a big deal about the tech. Like, what is your philosophy about using all those kind of tools?
My philosophy has been to just try to use as much information as I can, because ultimately at the end of the day, it's about making the right decision, right? What my instinct tells me, what information the organization has, how I know the guys, and just trying to use everything that we have to try and make the best decisions possible.
What was your time like at AA? And then obviously you know some of these guys that are up here now, much like kind of help that you probably worked with these guys in the past.
Yeah, I had Weeman, I had Murphy in AA, which was, and I had Ryan Johnson as well. So it was good. It was a good group there, and it was really cool to see them go from AA up here. It was really neat to see.
I know it's a really short window here, but what are some of the things that you're hoping that you're going to be able to implement with this current pitching group here in these final 42 games?
Yeah, I think, the first thing to do is I know a lot. I know some of them, like I just mentioned. There's some is establishing relationships, getting to know the guys, getting to know what makes them tick, getting, to know what they want. And I'm really just here to serve them, to try and make them the best they can be.
Is there a philosophy that you have towards pitching that maybe you'd like to see this organization have that, clearly maybe something you've talked about with Mo about what you could do here on the pitching front?
I mean, I just think my overall philosophy is really just, knowing what pitchers' strengths are and being able to individualize like you can, and to try and get guys to understand who they are and to be able to go out into the game and execute their strengths is, I think, a goal for every pitcher at every level, from the lower minor leagues to the big leagues. And I would say, that's a general philosophy that I have. I just want to know what their strengths are and how we can leverage those in the game.
You were obviously with the Cardinals for a long time. How well did you know Mo well there, and what's the relationship like with him?
Yeah, I've known Mo a really long time. I mean, the Cardinals hired me back in 2006, and I worked my way up through the system there. So I've known Mo since then. So what would that be, 20 years? So I've known him a long time.
This is an easier said than done question, I'm sure, but the Angels have walked a lot of guys this year. How do you improve that?
I mean, I think with walks and throwing strikes, it's just a general philosophy to control the count as much as possible, be aggressive in the zone. I don't think something like it doesn't happen overnight. There's a lot of reasons why walk rates can be what they are, but it's just my job to try unlock whatever I can with individual guys to try to get them, the guys in the maybe have to attack the zone a little bit more to get them to do that.
In general, do you think guys are better off pitching to their strengths as opposed to a scouting report that identifies this weakness or that one?
I think it's always a blend. I think always, you want to know what the weaknesses of the hitters are, obviously, but you also want to know your strengths. And I think ideally you want to blend those two together. In a perfect world, that's what you're trying to do. How your strength might play against someone's weakness.
Now, Mark, the last thing Tim said there is talking about blending, are there his pitcher's strengths with the batter's weakness? But it sound like from what you said earlier, it seems like it's been more focusing more on the Angels pitcher's strengths. Is that sort of what you've seen more than maybe worrying so much about the batter's weaknesses?
I think that's the right approach in general. I think that pitchers need to have the mentality that the hitter can't hit their stuff. And
Yeah.
if you're worried that they might, you're in a bad spot. I really like what Tim had to say there. It's interesting they went to AA to get promote Tim and Shane Lukes in Salt Lake. But these things happen. I really like that interview. I hadn't heard anything from Tim before, but it seems like there's no ego. He's there to make these guys better, whatever's needed. One thing that I wonder if a guy like Reid Detmers, he waited till after the break to finally say something, and it sounds like Grayson could have really benefited much earlier from this stuff. And I wonder if they just didn't feel like they could approach a guy of Mike Maddux's stature, his resume. I don't know him at all, but I did one of the All-Star teams. He was the pitching coach. That's the extent of it. Some quick conversations, but he's no doubt got a presence, and maybe these guys were intimidated to ask for fear that he might tell him to take a walk or figure it out. You can't rely on this as a crutch or something like that. But I don't think it's a crutch. I think it's a useful tool. And one question, I guess, for you, why didn't General Manager Perry Manassian insist on using the tech? No, I'm serious. Why did he? I mean, he apparently is there all the time, or was, and looking for every advantage he could get. And he saw a guy that wasn't using the tech. What's up with that?
Once again, I'm not in there every day. I can only surmise that he probably deferred to the veteran pitching coach in this situation. And with a rookie manager who clearly needed some help with pitching changes and usage, especially early in the season, I'm sure they deferred a lot to Mike Maddux. That's probably why they brought them in. So I don't have any other really theories outside of that. But I do agree with what you said, especially with a young guy like Detmers, and Grayson's still a pretty young guy too. Yeah, you look at that resume. I'm sure you as a rookie didn't march into Mike Scioscia's office and start saying, making this demand or that demand. It can be a little
No,
intimidating.
you want an anecdote though? You want a small anecdote? I was told I was given a day off, mental break. You know what those are?
Oh yeah,
it means you suck. And I remember Torrey. We were in Oakland. I'll make it quick, but wasn't in the lineup. And he said it was later in the season. And he said, "You got to go in there and tell him you want to play." And I was like, "Really?" And he said, "Yes." So I did. I did what I could. I was polite, but I said I'd really like to be in there. I think I can help the team win. And he said, "I appreciate that. You're going to be on the bench." And I was on the bench. But I think that it said something. And I hopefully Torrey wasn't getting his rocks off watching me walk the plank. But no, I remember that. So there you go.
All right, we're going to take another quick break for a word from our sponsors. And when we come back, we'll talk go a little more in depth about the guy who's been leading the staff, Reid Detmers. We'll be right back.
Bella, where? I don't know where Bella is, but I know how to take care of my pup.
Kratz, while you find Bella, today's episode is sponsored by the ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program. The ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program offers customizable accident and illness plans that can fit your budget, your lifestyle, and even your pet's particular quirks. Because let's be honest, vet bills can add up fast. And when it's time to submit a claim, it's easy. Just use their app and receive reimbursement for eligible vet bills directly into your bank account so you can get back to focusing on what really matters, your pet. To explore coverage, visit aspcapetinsurance.com/FOUL. That's aspcapetinsurance.com/FOUL. This is a paid advertisement. Insurance is underwritten by either Independence American Insurance Company or United States Fire Insurance Company and produced by PTZ Insurance Agency Limited. The ASPCA is not an insurer and is not engaged in the business of insurance.
And welcome back to Halo Territory with Mark Trumbo and Mike DiGiovanna. Well, one pitcher this pitching coach change in tech definitely appears to have helped is Reid Detmers, who in 7 starts since July 17th has thrown 40 in the third innings, allowed 25 hits, 7 earned runs, 9 walks, 49 strikeouts. That's a 1.56 ERA. Detmers has only 1 win during the stretch because the Angels have not scored more than 1 run for him since June 27th. But the left-hander clearly has been one of baseball's best pitchers for the last month. Well, Mark, as we know, there was heavy speculation going into the trade deadline that the Angels could trade Reid Detmers and or Jose Soriano, maybe both. They did deal Soriano to the Blue Jays for 3 prospects. Did the Angels keep the right guy in your mind, Mark?
What kind of question is that? Come on, man.
Long term. You know,
I think so. I like Reid.
yeah.
I've always, anybody that watches regularly knows that I have spoken highly of him, as have others. Clayton Kershaw, I remember, was mentioned on the broadcast, said, "Hey, this guy doesn't even know how good he is."
Yeah.
And I think that may be partially true. I think he's starting to realize, hopefully, and that is a good thing, because he will be able to go out there against any team. Great offense, mediocre offense, whatever. And it's got to be the mentality of, my stuff's gonna play against anybody. Come and get it. And when he pounds the strike zone, gets ahead of guys, and he's got those wipeout breaking balls, both the curveball and the slider, he's extremely tough to hit. I mean, he's got no hitter type stuff. Anybody that's capable of throwing a no hitter in the big leagues has the goods, and it's great to see. I think that I'd like to see at some point, which I never will, what the packages may have looked like for Reid, but they should have asked for the world. They didn't get it, and I think the Angels are better because they have Reid, and they're going to have him for hopefully many years to come.
Yeah, it's hard to determine or to figure out exactly to what extent this rebuild will go this winter. They could look to trade Zach Neto and Reid Detmers and really get a haul for both of them, and have a good young nucleus that you could maybe project in 2 to 3 years would contend. But I don't know. Part of me going into the trade deadline was like, sell everybody that for not whatever you can get, but if you can get, premium packages for Detmers and Neto, I don't think I would have hesitated making those deals. Clearly, they did not get what they want. At this point, I think the Angels really need to look at locking up Reid Detmers. I agree with you, Mark. He did throw the no-hitter, what was it, 4 years ago now, and he didn't really live up to that for the next year, and then he gets thrown into the bullpen in 2025, and then he had a really good year in the bullpen. Now he's back in the rotation, looking like an ace or a great number 2, and he's still really young. This is a first-round pick. I think they really need to me, he's a guy this team can build around pitching-wise. There's some pitching still in the pipeline. Who knows if George Clausen's going to pan out? He looks pretty good so far. I know we haven't seen the best of Grayson Rodriguez. You say Kikuchi he's got 1 more year left on that contract. I'm not seeing him as a long-term fit here. So you're still going to need a lot of pitching.
35 years old.
I mean, all right, long-term, as in maybe a year or 2 beyond his current contract.
Okay.
They're going to need pitching still in 2027 and 2028. But to me, Reid Detmers he's a guy right now, and I don't know what's going to cost to lock him up. He's in a really good position. He has not had elbow surgery. That's the reason I felt Soriano was the better pitcher to trade, because of the 2 surgeries. I think being left-handed, does that help? I don't know. In some minds it does. In mine it does. I just think he's a really good young pitcher, and if the Angels want to compete in the next 1 to 3 years, he's a guy they need to keep around.
I agree. I think that he's a guy to build around. That's what you need. And if you supplement another above average starting pitcher to this, you start to have a team. Now they're going to have to improve in some areas on defense, obviously. But they've already made improvements too, especially at the catcher position. The defense is quite a bit better, even by Esteros, who a topic on the show. I still contend that he's looked quite good. He played a nice first base today. He's got some pop in that bat. I told you he's got and you saw it too. You know he did. But yes, he's got a bit of a leg kick. But people that get fixated on leg kicks may not know what they're always.
Did you notice?
It's
Did you notice in Sunday's game he ditched a leg kick with 2 strikes?
It's easier said than done.
Yeah, he went to a
I
toe
believe
tap.
that I think that that's probably a good thing, and he's a guy with very good hand-eye, in my opinion, both on defense and at the plate. And I think that he's already kind of hitting in the middle of the order. Not kind of. He was hitting third the other day, and
Yeah.
maybe a bit lower today. Memory is anyway. He is driving the ball. Haven't gone out of the park, but you can tell that they will. And he's still 22 years old, and Ryan Zefferjohn's got over a 7 for the Cubs.
Well, speaking of guys who scrapped leg kicks early in their Angels tenure, Zach Neto had quite a road trip. 14 for 28 with 2 homers and 9 RBIs. And he had, 5 hits and 7 RBIs. And Thursday night's 18-3 win over the Astros. Geez, it'd be nice if the Angels could spread a few of those runs out over the week. He also had 2 doubles and a triple in Saturday night's 3-0 win over Texas. As impressive as I think, what was it, a 428-foot homer he hit? I thought the triple he hit in Saturday night's game, he goes with a down and away splitter from a lefty, Robbie Alstrom, for a triple into the right field corner. I mean, how many times have we seen him try to hook that ball in the left field corner or over the wall? Are you seeing a turn in Zach Neto this past week that gives you some optimism that maybe he's going to have a little more plate discipline and not try to yank everything over the left field wall?
He's shown that he has more plate discipline. Look at earlier in the year. He walked a
He walked,
ton.
yeah.
And what I did see is a different batting stance. It caught me totally off guard the other day. And I rewound it because I said, what in the world? A flat bat on the shoulder. And then I didn't see any explanation until Erica today covered that. And she asked him about it. Where did that come from? Because I too wondered who got in this guy's ear and why did it possibly take until late August for some sort of adjustment. He said he just tried it in batting practice the other day and it felt good. So he said he felt like he had to do something. Must have recognized that the strikeouts were on the high side, very high side. And at some point, you got to get frustrated just flailing at pitches that are out of the strike zone down and away. And good for him if it was that adjustment came from within, that's even better because it shows some awareness, some self-evaluation that I got to do something. I got to do something different. And he's extremely talented. He would beat this horse to death and back. But if he wants to do something, he can do it. He's going to have another 20-20-20 and very promising. We can cover this more next time. Christian Moore was the one that I was interested in. And one thing that I wasn't totally hip to because he had a limited exposure previous time, but he seems to have a weakness hitting the high heater. Did you notice that? Did you see anything about that?
He struck out at least twice over the weekend on high heaters. Yeah, I mean, high heaters in the big leagues are a little different than they are in the minor leagues, right? And so are sweepers and biting sliders that look like they're over the plate to start and they end up 9 inches out off the plate. It's just a different beast. And, he did hit AAA pitching really well. One thing I was encouraged by, he looked really good defensively. He turned a couple of nice double plays over the weekend. And, it's going to take a while for this bat to come around. I still think there's a talented player in there. What do you see in Mark? I know it's extremely small sample, just a couple of games, but
I don't want to hear anything more about AAA statistics.
I agree.
They just don't translate. You guys,
but is that because of the parks or the pitching?
The competition's watered down. The guys are playing in Mexico. The players. It's not back when I played, but it was different when I played. The competition, guys were getting, they get paid a lot more. I don't know what the going rate is for a minor league free agent, but teams wanted that depth, and you were going to find better players in AAA. Now teams don't even want their guys going to AAA. Kate Anderson debuted for the Mariners the other day. Went 5 2/3, gave up a couple of homers, but looked very competitive. And Tyler Bremner, we've talked about that. Very nice start in AA. I think 7 shutout innings. So for those, we are watching, trying to keep up with these things. But Christian Moore was talking about needing to make a tighter turn to cover the high heater. I will need to look into that. I don't know what he meant by that, but
Well,
I think what he's needing to do is get the bat head out. If you're going to hit the high heater, you can't have a bat that's dragging. So you're going to need to get that bat head out in front of the hands. If you're dragging the knob, you're in big trouble. So that's what I saw. The defense looked okay, not exceptional. I still need to see more there. He had a play that, a double play, wasn't turned, kind of an errant throw from the catcher, got into center, and then he one-hopped by Asteros on a routine play. So I guess no more left field, that's for sure.
oh gosh. Yeah,
I don't know whose idea, but
with Nolan Shadwell on the DIL for a while, at least he's going to get a runway. We're going to get a good look at him here on this next homestand. Hey, Mike Trout, he struggled with a high heater when he was winning all those MVP awards. Can somebody like him help a young guy like Christian Moore with that pitch?
to be honest, I don't really think that anyone but yourself and getting the reps. And you got to, if the thing is, do you really want to offer at it? That's always the conundrum. Is it a strike? Is it a pitch that you can do anything with? Because he struck out looking today, didn't challenge on pitches that they were balls. They were below. They poor officiating for a couple of the games recently, and he didn't challenge. But he's a young guy, so a lot of guys aren't very confident to do so. But I think the best plan of attack is to lay off that pitch as much as possible. If you're going to keep offering at it, you better find a way to hit it. And I think the way to do it is like he did in his last at bat. You got to pull it. He did drive the ball, might have been looking for it against Latz, but you can't try and go the other way with a high heater in the big leagues.
Yeah. All right. Hey, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you next time on Halo Territory.
If you made it this far, you'll love this next video. Check it out right here. And make sure you subscribe to Halo Territory for more Angels coverage like this multiple times a week.